With the release of Halloween Ends, the series is now complete, at least for now. There are a total of 13 movies in the franchise up to this point, and at this point, I would like to give my ranking of all of the Halloween movies from worst to best. This is based on my opinion. I know everybody's varies, but this is my listing, so let's go ahead and get started. Starting the list at the bottom, coming in 13th place, is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which came out in 1982. This movie bottoms out the list simply because it doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the movies. It's not a particularly bad movie on its own, it just doesn't have anything to do with Michael Myers, which is the focal point of the rest of the series. So for that reason, this movie comes in last place. Coming in at 12th is the 2009 Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie. This is the sequel to the 2007 remake. This movie is just all around bad and done very poorly. It tries to look deeper into the mind of Michael Myers and shows what's guiding him, and it just doesn't come off well. This movie is not one I ever enjoy watching, and of the Michael Myers films, is my least favorite in the series. Coming in at 11th, just one rank above its sequel, is the 2007 remake Halloween, made by Rob Zombie, a remake of the original 1978 film. This movie tries to normalize Michael Myers and make him a normal psychiatric patient and try to explain why he does the things he does. The simple fact is, we don't need it explained. And at least we do get a good Sam Loomis in this movie, which they ruin in the sequel, which is why this movie ranks one above. Coming in at 10th place is Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, which came out in 1995. This movie was just too cluttered and confused and seems rushed and poorly put together. They try to explain and answer a lot of questions that have built throughout the series. They end up just doing it in a very unsatisfactory way. They say there was a cult behind the scenes helping Michael Myers, giving him his powers and directing his actions. All in all, we don't need that. Michael works alone, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Coming in ninth place is Halloween Resurrection, which came out in 2002. This movie is a disappointing sequel to Halloween H2O, continuing that timeline, and we see Laurie Strode get killed in this movie in the very beginning, and then Michael's off to other things. He's basically just defending his house in this movie, but there's no clear story in this movie, and it's not clear where the story was going to go after this movie. So, all in all, it was better that this timeline ended after this movie. Coming in eighth place is 1989's Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. It started out as an okay sequel to Part 4, but quickly gets overcomplicated as they start planting the seeds to build towards the Cult of Thorn, which ended up ruining this timeline. Coming in seventh place is the newest movie in the franchise, 2022's Halloween Ends. This movie may give Laurie Strode her deserved ending, but the main thing I don't like about this movie and why it doesn't rank higher is that this is a Michael Myers movie without enough Michael Myers. Suffice it to say, Michael Myers doesn't need a sidekick. Coming in sixth place is 2021's Halloween Kills, the predecessor of Halloween Ends. This movie follows up the Halloween 2018 sequel immediately on the same night and just continues Michael on his rampage through Haddonfield and does a pretty good job of it. It has some stumbles along the way, such as the whole Evil Dies Tonight chant, and it sets up some questions that never really get answers. But as we learned from the remakes of Rob Zombie, it's better not to try to over explain Michael Myers anyway. Coming in fifth place is 1998's Halloween H2O. This was the first variant timeline established. It wipes out parts 4, 5, and 6 and picks up 20 years after the events of Halloween Night 1978, acknowledging Halloween 1 and Halloween 2. This movie is a solid sequel. Michael, after 20 years, has finally tracked down his sister who's been in hiding and goes after her again. It's a pretty good movie and a lower kill count, but it shows that Michael doesn't need to have a million kills in gore to be an effective movie. Coming in fourth place is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, and that is the reason why this movie is ranked so high. It brings Michael Myers back to the franchise. After Halloween 2, they intended to be done with Michael's story, but after the anthology plan didn't work out, They waited a 10-year gap from the original movie and brought Michael back to start haunting Haddonfield again. Laurie Strode was dead at this point in the timeline, but Michael had another relative to hunt down, her daughter, Jamie Lloyd. This movie was a high point in the franchise, despite having the absolute worst Michael Myers mask in the entire franchise. Coming in third place is 2018's Halloween, another variant timeline. This movie ignores all the sequels, only acknowledging the original 1978 film, and picks up 40 years after that film. Laurie Strode, notably, is no longer Michael's sister in this timeline because that was not established in the original movie. She's just a teenage victim who's been living her entire life in fear since these events. Michael gets out after 40 years and just does what he does. He goes back to killing. Coming in second place is 1981's Halloween 2, the immediate sequel to the original film. This movie is a great sequel. It follows up Halloween on the same night, Halloween night 1978, and continues Michael's agenda. He wasn't killed, so he continues chasing down Laurie Strode in this movie and killing many people along the way. I also like this movie because it establishes Laurie Strode as Michael's sister. I always liked that aspect of the story. I felt like it gave Michael an interesting motive. And finally, coming in at number one is the original film, 1978's John Carpenter's Halloween. This is the best movie in the series because it started the series. Without this movie, there is no series. This movie is, in my opinion, one of the greatest horror movies of all time. It is just wonderfully done, beautifully made, and I wouldn't change a single thing about it. So there you have it. That is my ranking of all of the Halloween movies from worst to best. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comment section and share your ranking of the Halloween movies. And please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and keep an eye out for the next video coming soon.